Good evening. I will now call to order the Chesterfield Township Planning Commission meeting on May 16th, 2023. I will call the roll. Mr. Miller is here. Mr. LaBelle? Here. Mr. Demink? Here. Mr. Leonard? Here. Mr. Renault?
Here.
Mr. Jaworski?
Here.
Mr. Klanowski? Here. Mr. Carr? Here. Mr. Brokart? Here. All is present. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. And to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Approval of the minutes of prior meetings. I will make a motion to approve the minutes of May 2nd, 2023. Second. We have a motion by Mr. Miller, supported by Mr. Demink. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Approval of the agenda. I will make a motion to approve the agenda as submitted. Support. Motion by Mr. Miller, supported by Mr. Renault. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion passes. Public hearings, there is none. Reviews, our Secretary Rick will do the reviews. We can do in a timely manner.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Item A is Gasoline Service Station Site Plan 2023-04. It's a special land use. 4.61 acres, northwest corner of 23 Mile Road and Sass Road. Parcel ID is 09-15- Parcel ID is 15-09-15-300-049. The public hearing was closed on April 18th, 2023, and this is when we are giving our final approval. There was two items that they have since reconciled any of the questions or other items that we asked them to do. One being the brick on the front of the building, and prior to, I had the opportunity to speak with the applicant prior to this meeting, and we talked about the fiber board on the back of the building, on the side of the building, being up against the pavement. They have agreed to change that to a cement product, a brick, something of that nature that is more durable for that application. Also, on their drawings, they're missing the bollard spacing. Our ordinance requires it to be 2.5 feet from the curb and 3.5 feet from the wall. There is no detail on the drawing. The applicant has agreed to do it administratively, correct the drawings, and submit to the township. With that, I'd like to make a motion to approve.
Support. Just a correction, it's 2 feet from the curb, not 2.5.
I'm sorry.
We have a motion by Mr. LaBelle, supported by Mr. Demink. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you.
When are you guys gonna start building? What's that? When are you guys gonna start building?
I'd like to start this fall.
Because I know the people are gonna be asking me, that's why I figured I'd ask you right now, because that's, my phone will be ringing, when are they gonna start?
I said enough. I did say we'd like it.
All right, good luck, thank you, thanks for coming to Chesterfield.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Item B is Brycewood Commons 2023-05, the site plan final review site condominium. R1B, 13.1 acres, north of 21 Mile Road, west of Cotton Road. Parcel ID is 15-09-20-451-017. The address is 28050 Cotton Road. Giffords, they've been in front of us before, and there has been a number of items that needed to be corrected. Giffords Webster has had the opportunity to see their revised drawings, and everything that it is required by our township has been achieved, and therefore I would like to make a motion to go ahead and approve this site plan condominium complex.
Support. We have a motion by Mr. LaBelle, supported by Mr. Miller. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Item C is Macomb RV Storage, is 2023-06. It's a site plan, M2, 10 acres, north of 23 Mile Road, the west side of Gratiot. The parcel ID is 15-09-17-326-012. The address is 51705 Gratiot Avenue. Bill is here this evening to speak on a number of items that I had the opportunity to talk with the engineer prior to our meeting and bring up all of our concerns. And Stephanie, if you'd like to go over what you have on your list as well, I'm sure that Bill would appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you. So Commissioners, just to note, we did receive new plans compared to what's been noted in the letter that was provided in your packet. So just a couple, I'll go through the letter and I'll note what's been changed as well. So we do have the corrected date. So the newest submission is from May 11th, and the revision on the original plans shows the correct date for April 21st, 2023. I'm going to go ahead and jump to the second page of my review letter where we talk about what's been proposed. The revised plans show a site that is, or a building, two commercial buildings. One is remaining at the 3,000 square feet that was originally proposed, and then the second one had a size reduction, so it's now proposed to be 8,099 square feet. The drive-through portion of the second building was removed at our request, since that's not something that they're actually proposing to put in at this point. So that's been taken care of on their plans. In terms of the dimensional requirements on page 3, most of their plan was compliant to begin with. They did update to show the front yard setback, both for the building and the parking, and those are compliant, and updated the note on the plans showing the required rear and side yards. So that's all set. In terms of building height, we still have yet to see the elevations for building 2 and for the storage units to confirm that those are compliant with what's required. On page 4, we move into the parking requirements. And in this section, we still have a couple pieces of missing information in order to determine if their parking that's been proposed is fully compliant. On their new plans, they did change the amount of parking. They have now proposed 137 spaces according to my calculations, again with limited information, this may change as we get the rest of it. They currently need 111 spaces. The information that we're still missing is the number of employees that will be working the storage portion of the site, and the total occupancy for building 2, which I believe is proposed to be a restaurant. The requirements for the restaurant parking is either one space per 100 square feet of restaurant space, or one spot for every 2 persons at maximum occupancy. So we just need to determine what the greater is of those and make sure that the parking is sufficient. They currently have 26 extra spaces, but again, this could change depending on the information that's provided. We don't have the parking space dimensions, so we will definitely want to see those to ensure that not only do they have the right number of spaces, but the spaces are the right size. In terms of bicycle facilities, the applicant did provide bicycle facilities on their revised plans that they submitted most recently, and based on their new updated parking, again, which may change, they need 7 bicycle spaces. The bicycle parking is going to be in the south corner of building 2, and it meets the relevant setback requirements. It does meet most of the requirements in terms of location, in terms of it being along the main entrance approach, and it being visible and accessible from both the approach and the building. We do need some more information about the bicycle parking facilities, including the number of spaces that they're going to provide. Again, they need at least 7 based on my current calculations. And then information about the design to make sure that it meets the requirements of the ordinance. I will note too that the bicycle parking area is accessible from Gratiot via the 5-foot wide concrete sidewalk that's proposed, but a 6-foot wide paved route is required per your ordinance. And it appears that the bicycle parking may be on a sidewalk raised up from the vehicle parking area, but this should be confirmed on the plans that it is separate from the vehicle parking spaces and access aisles. Continuing on page 5 here, talking about the building materials, we again have an elevation for building 1, but not for building 2 and for the storage units. So we would want to see those to be able to confirm the building materials are compliant. In terms of lighting, we did receive an updated photometric plan. It looks like I think there was probably a mix-up in the average and the minimum that was provided on that note, and then in the uniformity ratio based on that mix-up. So I would just ask the applicant to take a look at that again to make sure that the numbers are correct in that table. We have not received any lighting details, so that those would be that would be helpful in ensuring compliance as well. The applicant did note that the setback of the lights was typically 3 feet along the, with the front setback being a little bit larger at 3¼ feet, which meets the requirement. So we did get that information. Page 6 discusses the parking lot landscaping, again with changes in the number of parking spaces that were proposed. There was the potential for a change in the parking lot landscaping that's required, and we do need to see 14 parking lot trees. The applicant has provided 23, so that's compliant. Again, that may change as we get more parking information. Towards the bottom of page 6, I just mentioned the fence. The fence was noted in the revised plans that it's going to be black wrought iron, and the Planning Commission may wish to discuss the fence aesthetics with the applicant. There were some additional revisions on the plans regarding outdoor storage. The most notable is under the 3rd bullet on page 7, talking about the metal frame wood screening gate. We did get details about the gate for the chain link fence, but we didn't get details for the wrought iron fence to know what that gate looks like. And I believe everything else is the same as what was in the review letter and compliant. So in summary, the Planning Commission is tasked with reviewing these plans and making a determination as to whether the site meets all the zoning ordinance standards and their intent as applicable. The Planning Commission may wish to discuss the building materials proposed, the location of dumpsters and enclosures that are proposed, as well as the bollards, internal pedestrian walkways to ensure safety between the parking areas and the buildings, the aesthetic quality of the proposed wrought iron and chain link fences, as well as their gates, and the acceptability of the proposed gravel surface around the storage area. The easement. Oh, thank you. And this was noted in my, again, in reviewing the plans, the most recent plans, there was a note from the 2021 review when the applicant was before us previously that noted a 12-foot municipal utility easement, and we just wanted to remind the applicant that that'll have to go to the township engineer to confirm the proposed use of the area as a driveway as being acceptable. Happy to answer questions.
Okay, Mr. Can you hit the button?
That one?
Yep.
Okay. I've got a list of the comments here, and we've got no problem. We can resolve those, provide the details you need, and I think we can resolve all this stuff. So if you have any other questions or comments about the plan itself.
Anybody have any questions or comments? Mr. Carr had a comment. Mr. Carr?
Hey, holy, you guys are like Nazis with that thing. So, yeah, I mean, everything that was in the letter, I mean, I think are definitely apparent. But my one concern was just with your dumpster in particular. I still don't, I'm confused at why the odd angle of your dumpster when your site's square or rectangular in this case, and you only have two access points. The truck is either going to come in from the east or it's going to come up from the south, so I'm not quite sure why you wouldn't put it either north-south or east-west, depending on which way you're having them go, because the truck is just going to come either direction, come straight in, take the one out, put the new one in, and then he's gonna keep going around the building, whichever way you go. So is there a reason why you have your dumpster at such an awkward angle?
Mr. Morelli?
Yeah. I believe, if you can scroll back one page, does page 5 show the updated plan? We moved that dumpster, actually, if you're talking about the dumpster at Building 2.
Do we not have the updated plans?
When I looked online, you had it on there.
I'm looking online, online.
There you go. There you go. That's correct right there. See, we've moved the dumpster to
I mean, I'm
behind the rear of the
online. I
building,
don't know.
Building 2.
All I can do is click on the thing. I mean, this is online. This is with the township.
So you move the dumpster,
You can see it there on,
Mr. Chairman, if I
Can
may.
you
Yes.
zoom in?
You talking about
So
this
you move the dumpster
Yeah.
to the edge of the detention pond behind the
I think
building?
Mr. Carr was talking about the other dumpster on the north, behind Building 2.
Yeah,
Yes,
that's
that
what
one.
I'm referring to. Correct.
It was in the corner before, we moved it to behind the building.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So why wouldn't you just make it straight? Like make it, again, either in the north-south direction or the east-west, depending on which way you're having the
Well,
actual
we
truck
we
come
move it
in.
to make it the east-west direction.
I mean, shift it from here to here?
Well, I don't know. Can somebody zoom it? Yeah,
Oops.
yeah, because I can't see it.
So when I take it, no,
There you
it's
go.
not standing still. You want to take it from here and put it over here?
Well,
In line with the
no,
driveway?
the plan that I have online,
This is a revised drawing that they just received. We didn't get these drawings.
I was gonna say, we didn't get them because I'm on the,
Yeah, so we did move
Yeah.
move it.
so even that, I mean, to me, that's worse. How is a dump truck going to make a hard 90 with parking spaces behind it when you only got a 20-foot wide aisle?
24 feet's enough, isn't it?
I don't know of a truck, I don't know of a garbage truck that can do that. So that's even worse.
Well, that can easily move to the, right where Bill's red dot is, to the north side. We can move it right there, so you can come straight in and dump it.
Yeah, just long,
Yeah.
one way or the other, right?
That's an easy correction.
Yeah.
That's not a
I can answer a couple other questions regarding employees and the storage. There's gonna be no on-site employees. It's gonna be online. You can sign up online, you get an access code to get in, and you provide your own lock to every private garage. And, you know, if need be, I'd go there and meet customers if they wanna see it beforehand. But there's no need to have someone there all the time. That's why I removed the office from the old plan. That's really the only change
All the
from
things you mentioned are still not,
the old approved
so,
storage area. So remove the office, and we actually removed 12 units because building 1 got pushed back. And building 2, we are talking to restaurants now. I have a party that's very interested, and it would be in that 7,000 to 8,000 square foot range of a building for a restaurant, high-end, modern, maybe like a sports bar type. So we're in negotiations now, but once we have that, you know, done, we can put an exact site plan for building 2.
Any other questions? Mr. Demink? No. Mr. Brokart? No, I'm good. Mr. Renaud?
I am all set, thank you.
Mr. Jaworski? I'm good, thank you. Mr. Panowski?
Yeah, the Building 1 is a proposed cannabis retail.
It's proposed for 3,000 square feet retail. We have talked to cannabis users. If this ordinance goes through, that's going to the township board, the possibility to sign a deal with one of those and put one there.
Would this site plan approval give that permission? Would that have to go through special land use or another site plan?
Mr. Chairman, if I may. Oh,
It would have
I
to
had
meet
the
all
op-
your ordinance requirements. If your ordinance requires a special land use, it would have to do that.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Leonard? No, I'm good, thank you. Mr. LaBelle?
There are a number of items that need to be corrected, you know, and Mr. Thompson obviously has always worked with us, and as well as Mr. Morelli. Is the township okay with handling these last few items administratively, or would you rather have them come in front of us again?
I believe that they would do it administratively.
Administratively? Okay, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a.
I'm curious.
Sorry.
What are we approving then? We're not approving anything with the buildings, right? The reason why I ask is because, I mean, there's no details on the buildings at all, none of the buildings. So there's no details on the buildings. The one that he says is gonna be a restaurant, building number 2, there's really no detail at all on the elevations. I mean, it shows no windows other than just an entry, which again, I'm not saying they're gonna have windows, but to me, I don't think you can provide enough information, and there's nothing on building 1. So again, I guess what are we approving that we're gonna allow administratively? To me, there's not enough information here to be able to say I'm like, that we're comfortable with everything. I don't know.
And
I mean,
you're
that's just-
absolutely right. Prior to
mean-
this, I had the opportunity to speak with the attorney as well as Mr. Thompson. And building number 2, that's the larger building of the two?
No, building,
Was it
yeah,
building 1?
building 2 is the larger of the 2, correct?
Number 2 is the larger one?
Yeah.
Mr. Thompson agreed that that the drawing would be changed to note that it would be a future building, so that they will have to come back in front of us, because there is no elevations for that building. We don't know what's going in there yet. And that would require them to come back to us to approve that building. So at this point, that building really doesn't exist as far as my motion.
And building 1.
Building
they're
1,
gonna
they
build
did
it-
give all the elevations for the building. Anything else that you feel that we're missing there?
I guess just use, I guess. I mean, usually when you approve a building, you approve it
At
for
this
use.
time, as part of my motion also, is that we're only approving the building, we're not approving the use. So when, if they do decide to go forward and make it whatever it's gonna be made, it's gonna require them coming in front of us again for a special land use for that building.
And the storage buildings will be built out of what?
The storage buildings, and that was my question, is they already came in front of us before with the storage buildings. We approved all the elevations.
Yeah.
If
All the same.
If you can remember this, because I remember distinctly, is on the front of the building facing Gratiot, they had just metal siding, and Mr. Morelli
Yeah.
agreed to put brick on the front of there.
Yeah.
And I believe there's a area for washing vehicles
Yeah.
out front there. We went through all this already for all of the elevations for the building. Maybe they didn't make it to this drawing, but I know in the
Yeah,
past we
I
did
just would
approve it.
assume that everything would be resubmitted, because nothing's been approved. You know, this is like a partial submission to me. Something that was done a year or 2 ago, or 8 months ago, or so, whatever the months were, to me, if they're coming for final site plan approval, it should be a comprehensive package with everything that they're coming to get approval for, that's all.
When was the original
I mean, that's, you know,
approval? Have a date?
Except, so with building 1, which is not gonna be put up until a later date, so they're after gonna get approval on that. Is that correct, Mr. Morelli? Building 1 is not gonna be put up, that's the one for a later date?
That's building 2,
Building 2, I'm
The
sorry,
larger one,
okay.
yes.
Just too many buildings bouncing around
the
here.
larger building.
Okay, so, but building 1 is the one that will be going up on site as of this time?
Yes,
And that's 3,000 square feet?
yes, sir.
Okay.
We approved
Okay.
it on June 15th, 2021.
and I'm just saying, like, so we're
The
supposed to.
changes are that
Yeah.
the 2 buildings, the one for the marijuana facility So the rest of them, it's all been approved.
Okay. It's been approved.
He could build it right now, he could build it as it was approved before. The only thing that they're adding is they reduced the size of that building number 2,
Yeah.
and they added building number 1. That's the only changes that have been, they're.
I don't know, I remember those two buildings. I remember the site plan. I just don't remember
Because the
approving it.
building number 2, it was a larger building, I believe, wasn't it, Mr. Thompson?
Yes.
Yeah, it was 10,002, it was 10,226 before. Because one of your plans here says 10,226, another one says 8,099. All in your same set, so there's a contradiction. But, no, you go ahead and approve whatever you want. I'm fine, I just was asking questions, that's all.
No, I want you to feel comfortable. Okay, Mr. Chairman, may I make a
Yep.
motion? Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to approve Macomb RV Storage Building 2023-06 with, as part of my motion, which needs to be included in my motion, is that, first of all, the building number 2, which is the proposed, possibly proposed restaurant, is to be depicted as a, as a future building. So, which will require the applicant to come in front of us again to go through all the building elevations, the parking calculations, everything that's normally included in that type of submission. The second thing would be that administratively, he's going to include the sizes of the parking spaces. The number 3 is the height calculations for the elevations, which which is missing on the drawings. I believe that I heard that the dimension of the sidewalk was incorrect. It needs to go from 5 feet to 6 feet. No elevations. Number 2. The photometric calculations need to be looked at, need to be revised. We need a bollard detail, a detail on the bollards with elevations and setbacks off the building and off the curbs. We need we're going to require the detail on the movable gate detail, on the wrought iron movable gate detail. Currently, there is a detail for the fence, but not for the gate. And lastly, this motion to approve is approving. I'm sorry.
Stephanie has one question.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'll pause my motion for a moment. Go ahead.
Sorry to interrupt. I'm curious about the improvements you've made on the site since it was approved in June 2021. Has there been any work done on the site?
Only thing that started in the last month was stripping topsoil, piling it up, that's all. And actually the demolition of the house that was there in garage,
Okay,
I think
and,
you tore them buildings down last,
December.
yeah.
okay. Just so the commission knows, the approval period for a site plan is 18 months from the date of approval. If physical improvement of the site is not in actual progress at the expiration of the approval and diligently pursued to completion, the approval shall be null and void unless renewed or extended by specific planning commission action. So I just wanted to see if the commission felt that that was a physical improvement of the site towards completion of the original approved plan.
I would think so.
I would too. They tore down a bunch of dilapidated old buildings. It improved the area.
Okay, great. Then the time lapse is fine. Sorry to
The
interrupt.
time lapse? Oh, no, you're fine. And lastly, as part of my motion as well, is the building that is currently proposed, building number 1, is we're approving the building only. We're not approving any kind of use, or we don't, at this point, know what's going into that building. It is just a building at this point. We're not approving any kind of special use of that property. With that, I'll stop my hammering and make a motion to approve.
We have a motion by Mr. LaBelle, supported by Mr. Miller. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And Mr. Renault abstained from the vote because you bank at his bank, right?
I sure do, yep.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, guys. Girls.
Okay, comments from the floor is permitted by the commission on non-agenda items. Non-agenda related communications, receive and file all comments regarding agenda items. Number 10 is committee reports, ordinance amendments, board liaison reports, reviews, and discussions from members of the commission, consultants, and the township employees. Commissioner comments, Mr. Demink?
As all you guys know or haven't heard, at the board meeting last Tuesday, the approval for remix on 26 Mile Road went down after it was unanimous decision except for Mr. Klinowski abstaining because he owned the property there. It went down I believe 5-2. Brad and I voted yes. I made the motion, it was seconded by Clerk Barry. Discussion went on. There was people here. There was comments made. Some people said they weren't notified. I'll not further my discussion on that. The owner of the factory, who owned the manufacturing, was there. Mr. Gendernalik was here. Discussion went back and forth on the board. So when it came to a vote, it went down 5-2 with Kirsten and I voting yes and the remaining board members voting no. So, just so you guys know, that's two things now that this panel has approved and been shot down by the township board.
And
I don't know what it is. If you people want to talk to other members of the board, feel free to do so. If you want to send emails or letters. I have full confidence in everybody that sits up here. I've been up here for what, 2.5 years with you guys, and I was up here prior term before. You know, we got a wide variety of expertise sitting on this board, from builders to electricians to landscapers to architects to financial guys to more engineers. So I think everything is vetted well on this board. But when it comes to the big board table, other things happen. I can't control that because there's 7 of us up there. But it just, when it goes to unanimous decision and then it goes to the board. So, just so you guys know, you have a right to speak. You have a right to send letters to board members, appear at a township meeting. You're residents and you're also members of this planning commission. But my words, I think you guys do one hell of a damn good job. I've always said that, and you guys know I've always supported you. You know the way I work up here, I work different than other members do, but I take your advice. You guys are expertise on some fields. That's why it's a great working with here. I have my expertise in my professional field, but you guys have yours, and I respect that.
What's next? They're gonna shoot down the sidewalks in township?
Right now, that project is off the table, and Jonathan didn't think that there'd be anything we can do about it.
So, I mean, I just want to let you guys know what, if you didn't know what happened at the board meeting last week, that's what happened.
What was the real issue?
The real issue, I think, was that one resident had an offer on his property, or maybe was going to sell his property to a different type of, and he didn't want it rezoned like that.
I'm not going to get into all the
Right.
particulars because, I don't know exactly, I knew exactly what was going on, but I'd say watch the meeting, talk to other board members on why they voted what they did. You guys have the right. I can only do so much. I can present it. My 2 items the one meeting I wasn't at, that was when I was out of town. Everybody knew I was going to be gone. And then the second one was last week. I said it was unanimous by this board, except for Mr. Klinowski, stepping down because, he has property adjacent to that out there. But I guess I'll reserve the rest of my comments for at another point in time. But I just wanted you guys to know.
Thank you, Mr. Brokart.
Yeah, I'd like to add, I did ink a letter to Jonathan and Brian Demink last week. I have a lot of concern about when this commission votes unanimously on any item, and then it's overruled. I mean, and they have every right in the world to do that. They're the elected officials. I think it's appropriate that we be alerted to that and informed of why it was overruled. I'm new to this commission. I like everybody here. I really am impressed with how much work and effort goes into these decisions. But what I'm not impressed with is when we're overruled and there's nothing shared with us. I'm not saying they need to ask our permission, they certainly do not. But when it's 9-0 or 8-0, and no one tells us what we did wrong, how we differed, maybe our information is not consistent. Maybe the information we have is inaccurate. Maybe the information the board has is inaccurate. Maybe there's a level of trust that doesn't exist. These are major problems, and it bothers me. So I will be at the next meeting, and I will speak, and I'll let these gentlemen and these ladies understand where I'm coming from. I feel honored and privileged to be here. But I don't want to be here if I'm not doing it the right way. If the information I'm getting is inaccurate or inconsistent with what the board sees, that's a major problem. And if we unanimously see everything the right way, yet they see it the opposite way, I think we should understand where that disconnect is. I've been here since January. 2 major issues have flipped on us, and that's concerning to me. So I'll be there next time at the board meeting, and I'll listen and I'll learn. But you know, Brian, you provide excellent leadership for us. Everyone here is kind. Everyone here works hard. But if we're doing something wrong, you know, somebody needs to tell us. At least tell me. And then we can make changes. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Renault?
I think that covers it.
Mr. Carr?
I said, I'm like, hey, if you don't think I'm the right guy, go somewhere else. I don't do this for my time. I mean, I work a lot of hours and travel a lot, so I do this because I think it's the right thing for my community. So I think that's an issue. The other thing is I think that last submission that I voted against, I think we have to have a higher standard of quality of what we expect to be delivered to us. I think that's an incomplete package. I think that if we're coming here to review something, we should have the latest and greatest. The fact that I'm looking at an old document that's not been updated. The fact that they updated something last night and none of us got it, I think that that should be tabled and pushed to another meeting. And I think the packages should be comprehensive. You know, it's great that some of you guys have relationships with some of these people. I don't care to have the relationships. I'm here just to do a job and, you know, and I take it serious. But to me, the packages should be complete. They should be comprehensive and they should be addressing all the questions. I don't mind administratively one or two things being done, you know, like a color here or something like that. But to me, there was too many things on that plan that were missing. And I think they've had plenty of time to fix it. If they were here last June, they've had plenty of time to make that plan perfect. I don't think there should be administrative leeway for, you know, anybody. It should be a comprehensive package that comes to us, and especially when there's a last minute change. I think it should be tabled for the next meeting and then given all of us an opportunity to review those and, you know, make sure it's on the up and up. That's just my thoughts.
Thank you. Mr. Jaworski.
I'm speechless right now. I can't even comment.
Nothing for me right now.
Mr. Leonard.
I agree with what's already been said, and I don't have anything else to add. Sorry, I agree with what's already been said and don't have anything else to add.
Mr. LaBelle.
Well, first question is looking for volunteers for pre-planning. Mr. Leonard and Rich.
Rich and
And I do agree with you, Brian. I mean, there was, you know, at times there are a number of things that that come up on the drawings. And, but Mr. Morelli, as well as the engineer, both have been in this community for a long time. They're very upstanding. And I personally feel comfortable with what is said will happen. Mr. Morelli in the past has always been very, very upstanding. You know, now am I showing favoritism? Maybe I am. Maybe I did. You know, because the next guy that comes in, maybe we shouldn't do that. And is it consistent then? No, you're right. And I do agree with you. Thank you.
thank you. Any other comments? If there is none, I will make a motion to adjourn at 7:42. Support. We have a motion by Mr. Miller, supported by Mr. Renault. All in